The Arduino system is a combination of hardware and software that allows you to create programmable electronics projects. So a lot of people use it for Internet of Things, where you control electronics devices remotely using the internet. So for example, you can turn on a switch, turn on a fan, put on a kettle, monitor the temperature in your room, turn on an AC, all from your phone or your computer browser. So systems like Arduino systems are really helpful because it allows you to program functionality into different projects. The Arduino system specifically is low cost, it's very affordable, it's open source, which means that pretty much anyone can tinker and create for it. Arduino boards come in different shapes and sizes, and we'll just show you a range of them. This one specifically is called an Arduino Uno, and it's the most popular. There are bigger ones, there are smaller ones, but they all sort of do the same thing. The only limitation is in how many things you can connect to it, how fast they can run, and also how small they can be used for different projects. All right, so let's take a look at the different components of an Arduino. So I'm going to keep this really simple because it can get very technical, so I'm just going to keep it very surface stuff. And in case you want to go deeper into the Arduino system, the more technical stuff, we will have a video later for more advanced users. So the Arduino system typically looks like this. You have a board that has a lot of electronics components on it and different places in which you can plug in different wires and connections. We'll keep it simple. So here is the USB connection. So this is where you connect it to your computer with your cable. So you just plug it in like this, and then you connect the other side to your computer. Depending on the type of Arduino you have, this might be smaller or bigger. Again, it depends on how it's been designed. But typically, you have an area where you connect it to your computer like this. And this is how you program the Arduino board. You have to connect it to your computer. And then in here, on here, you have the power supply. So this is where you put in like a power charger, right? A power supply. So an Arduino board can run directly from your computer, but if you are using bigger electronics components like motors and anything with electromagnets or speakers or anything that requires a lot of electrical power, then you need to make sure that you have a separate connection for power. Because if you try and connect those things directly to your computer, you can actually risk damaging your computer. So if you're working with projects that require low power, like maybe LEDs, some types of devices, then it's fine. But where you can, always make sure that you have a separate power supply here. You can connect both your computer and the power supply, and things will be fine. So if you want to connect anything here, make sure that it's like an adapter that's giving maybe 6 volts to 12 volts. You can read it on the adapter. It will show you how much power it's supplying, and then you'll be able to use your Arduino board without issues. If you want to use it just with a computer, then you have to make sure that you're running very few electronics components on the Arduino itself. Here you have the microchip, which is essentially the Arduino processor. The difference between an Arduino board and a typical processor on your computer is that this one allows you to run very low power projects. So for example, you can control simple lights, you can control motors, etc. The processor, the microprocessor on your computer, you've probably had it being called an Intel processor or an M1 processor. They're designed for general computer use. So you can use them on your computer to play games, to write Word documents, to chat with people, to browse the internet. They're general processors. However, the ones on the Arduino are called microcontrollers, and these are designed to run very specific and very simple instructions, right? And these are much slower than your typical processor. So a typical processor might be running at billions of cycles per second. Like basically it can run billions of instructions every single second, whereas this one can only run 16,000 instructions every single second. So it might feel like that's little, but trust me, when you're programming, it's actually quite a lot. Imagine doing something 16,000 times per second. That's really fast, but still not as fast as the computer that you have. On each side of the Arduino board, you'll find rows of little holes called pins. These pins are very useful for connecting different electronic components to your Arduino board. These components can be inputs, which means that they send signals to the Arduino board. So for example, if you have a sensor, so a sensor is something like you're trying to measure the temperature of a room, right? That's a sensor that's giving off a signal that can be put inside the Arduino board, and then the Arduino board measures what that sensor is saying. But you can also have an output, which is something that receives a signal from the Arduino board. So like a light will receive power and a signal from the Arduino board, and then light, it doesn't send a signal to the Arduino board. So these pins serve specific purposes depending on what you're trying to do. And they are designed such that you can very easily connect them to jumper wires, which we covered in a previous session. So you can connect them like that, all right? And we shall go into the details of what each of those pins do much later, but not at this stage. And then you have a little switch here. It's called a reset switch. When you press it, it basically resets what the Arduino is doing. So an Arduino doesn't have a typical power on or off switch like your computer would. Once you put in the power, the program starts running. But this reset switch basically forces it to go back to the beginning of the program and start afresh. And we'll understand why that is important later. And then finally, you have 3 lights on the Arduino board, actually 4 lights. If you remember, we studied about LEDs in a previous video, but those LEDs are light emitting diodes, and therefore there's one here that shows that the Arduino is on. When we plug it in, you'll see it light up. And then there's another here that is connected to one of these pins, pin number 13 specifically. We'll learn about that later as well. And then there are 2 that are for transmitting and receiving, and they essentially show you that your Arduino is sending or receiving instructions from your computer or another electronics device. So the rest of the components will not go into the details because it can get very advanced, but we'll stop there right now, and then we shall connect Arduino to the computer and see if we can write our very fast Arduino program. So for this next part, you need a computer. It can be a laptop or a desktop. And what you need to do is go online, download the Arduino software, and then install it. And then we shall plug in the Arduino hardware. So for now, we'll just need a computer. All right, so for this next step, you need to go to your favorite browser. Rest in peace, Internet Explorer. Let's give a moment of silence. Go to arduino.cc. You go to software, so you can use this website to learn about the Arduino system. There's just so much material that you can use to learn, and you can also learn about the different types of Arduino boards. So you click on software, and when you get to software, you'll see options depending on the operating system that you're using. It can be Mac, so you can download the Arduino software for Mac, or you can download for Windows or Linux. So in our case, we'll download this one for Windows. I prefer to use the one for Windows 7 because it doesn't go through the App Store. Arduino is open source, which basically means that it's developed by a community of volunteers. It's freely available for you to use, download, etc. So you don't have to pay anything to get it. But in case you want to donate so that they can continue doing the good work, you can choose a value, contribute, and donate. But in this case, we're just going to download it. All right, so when your software has been downloaded, you'll find it in the corner here. So you just click on it and then install the Arduino software. Click on agree. Just select everything because you need everything that it's asking you for. Click on next. Leave this location. You can change it, but just generally leave it alone. Click on install. Depending on how fast your computer is, this could take a while. All right, mine shows it's completed and it's just asked me to close. Yours might ask you to install an additional driver. A driver is basically a special piece of software that allows your computer to connect to certain hardware. So you might need a driver when you plug in like a printer. You might need a driver when you plug in like a new mouse or a new keyboard. But in this case, we don't need to install the driver because it's already been done for us. You click close, and then when you go to your start menu, you will now see that you have Arduino. So you just select that, and then it will start up, and this is what your Arduino integrated programming environment is. So it will start with a test program, which is like the default program, and we'll just leave that program as it is because we want to use it to test our Arduino. Don't worry about what you're seeing on the program. We're going to learn about that later. So now it's time to connect our Arduino board. You have your Arduino, you have your cable, you simply connect this like that, and then connect it to your computer. My computer won't allow this, so I need an adapter, but otherwise I would have just plugged it into this normal USB port. So in my case, I need to get an adapter because I have a USB-C port, and then just plug that in, and you're good to go. So now your Arduino actually is showing two things. One, it's showing that there's a light at the top, meaning that your Arduino is on, and there may or may not be a light that is blinking on the other side of the board. But this light at the top shows that your Arduino is connected to a power supply. So your Arduino board is connected. Your computer has probably made some noise, meaning that something has been connected to it, and that it's basically recognized the Arduino board. And the next step would be to make sure that it's set up correctly so that they are talking to each other well. The computer is connected to your Arduino and they're communicating to each other properly. So the first thing that we'll do is go to our tools and select the port. Now, a port is a special communications area on your computer's motherboard that basically allows hardware, which is anything physical you've connected to maybe a USB, to speak to software, which is what your computer is. So in this case, the computer has identified our Arduino as being on port COM number 7. So just select that. You might see it on another port number. It might be port 3, port 4, port 5. In our case, it's COM 7. So just select COM 7 and you're good to go. Then again, go to Tools, go to Board, and make sure that you are connected to the right board. All of these are different types of Arduino boards, and you can go and study about each of them. In this case, our computer has recognized the type of board, and it has immediately selected the Arduino Uno. If you're not sure about the board you have, please go to the Arduino website and compare what you're looking at in terms of your physical board to what's on the Arduino website, and then come back here and select the appropriate board. All right, so now we have our board selected and we have our port in the right port. We are going to do a test upload. So when you're connecting your program, which is what you're seeing here right now, all of this is the Arduino program. When you're putting your program on the Arduino board, it's called uploading. So we're going to do a test upload. And you just click this button. So the first button here is verify, the second button is upload. So we're going to click on upload, and if everything goes well, we will not get any errors. So you'll see a progress bar here on the left, and you may or may not see your Arduino blinking. So if your upload went correctly, again, we'll just do that again. You will not get any errors here, but you'll also see that your Arduino was lighting. For these RX and TX lights were lighting very, very briefly. And then now you should have this yellow light here marked L that is blinking on and off, on and off, on and off. That means everything is fine. It means that your Arduino is talking to the computer, the software is talking to the hardware, and vice versa. Just to show you that everything is okay, just scroll a little bit lower, and where you see delay 1000, just change that to 500 and change that also to 500. So let me just hold this so that you can see it a little bit better. The change that we've made in our software is going to determine how fast this little light is blinking. So assuming that you've made this 500, it was 1000 before, now it's 500. Don't change anything else. Just click upload. And if you're successful, you'll see that the speed of this blinking is going to change. So now it's going faster, on and off, on and off, on and off. Let's make it even faster. Don't worry about what the command does. For now, I just want to show you that your hardware, which is the Arduino board, is communicating to the software, which is the Arduino environment that you're programming in on your computer. Change it to 100 for both of them. Click upload. And now you see that it's blinking much faster. You can change them with independent values. They don't really have to be the same. So I can make one 500 and the other 100, and then we'll see how that pattern changes. So you see that. So now your Arduino software is talking to your Arduino hardware and everything is fine. So that concludes this video on introduction to the Arduino system. So in the next video, we're going to learn how to write our own program. Right now, we've just used the test program, but the goal for this video was to get you familiar with the Arduino hardware, to get you to install the software, and then to run a test program that shows that your Arduino board and your computer are actually communicating and talking to each other. In the next video, we are going to, again, turn this light on and off initially, but then we shall connect another LED to these ports. And if we succeed with the entire video, we shall build a very simple traffic light system. So, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.